in South Florida, Twist Gaming, featuring lead broadcaster Matt Koza, co-host and creative genius Josh Perry, co-host and interviewer extraordinaire Ann Lazito, co-host and marketing mogul Aaron Murphy, with appearances from special guest Lucy. Welcome to Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us.
Good evening, everyone. This is Twist Gaming, and this is our first impression session of our Spotlight stream. So tonight we had the pleasure of showing off Rick and Morty Risk by USAopoly, and we had the pleasure of having Pat on the stream with us. We went through all the ins and outs of the game, and we had a lot of fun. But for those of you that aren't in the know, the first impression session, we talk about our favorite aspects of the game, any constructive criticisms that we may have, and finally, the most important question of the evening of would we play this game again. First and foremost, though, I'm going to throw it over to Josh. Josh, what kind of game is Rick and Morty Risk?
I mean, it's another version of Risk for everyone. Most people know what Risk is. The area control game, typically fighting over the Earth, but in Rick and Morty Risk, we're fighting over
different dimensions?
Different dimensions or planets or
a
bunch of Rick and Morty
themes.
Areas.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we're all playing. We all have unique races that races, right?
Factions
that we're playing as. Anne was playing as the
robotic exoskeleton dogs.
Yeah. So if you remember, that one is when they took the family dog and got him neutered, and then they
the dog was seeking revenge.
Rick decided to give him a helmet that made him smarter, and then he seeked revenge, and after the stuff like that.
I'm playing as the president. Josh was playing as one of the
mythologs.
One of the alien races there.
Yeah. So basically, area control. There's a few things different. There's the objective cards. So you can win the game by completing 3 objectives.
So it speeds up gameplay from traditional Risk a little bit more.
There's also a reward deck, which is kind of cool. So when you complete objective, you get a reward card that gives you a bonus, extra unit a turn, or some other cool ability. Also, all the leaders of all the factions had a special ability, which is really neat. But otherwise, it plays pretty much very similar to Risk. There was an extra 7th territory that you could conquer.
Where it's Rick's ship's battery.
Yeah, and there's a couple things, like there's portals all over the map, so you can kind of portal in and out of areas, and then Rick's ship actually flies around the map, and is in different locations, so that 7th territory was only connected to one territory on the map.
Yeah.
Which made it interesting.
So typically here, we start off with the person that won the game, and that means that Anne was the bigger winner tonight, so congratulations, Anne. She beat us up real bad.
With a sneaky victory, because we weren't even paying attention.
Super sneaky. She wasn't either. But Anne, tell us some of your favorite aspects of Rick and Morty Risk.
So I definitely, and I think we're all going to touch on the objective mechanism that has been added to Risk by USAopoly, and I think that it really shined in our playthrough. So Pat, who joined us on stream from USAopoly, was talking about one of the biggest complaints of Risk is that the game just drags on forever. And with the objective mechanism in the game, it really makes the game quick. It gives an alternative winning win strategy. Yes, thank you very much. Win conditions so that the game ends much quicker. So I absolutely loved what that did for this game. It made the game much more enjoyable. But I also want to talk about the production quality on the game. So it was one of the things that I first noticed. One, I really love the colors of the pieces and the dice. So the dice colors that they choose, and maybe I just am partial to this particular color scheme, but it's a really nice teal blue.
Yeah, the blue pops.
And my particular faction had the same colored pieces. It's just a very nice, pretty bright blue. Josh's pieces were like our favorite color, purple, like a nice purple.
There was a hot pink that was in the set. I played as kind of the traditional, like, gray.
But it was like you were the U.S. government, and it's very military kind
It's
of.
kind of got a green tinge to it. It's
Yeah.
almost like an olive drab color.
Yeah, and as you notice, as I throw the pieces in here, each of the factions had custom molded minis. So you weren't playing as the generic horse. And it didn't stop at just, the one unit pieces. While Matt and I both had tanks, Josh had this neato little, I don't even know.
It's 3 room dudes next to each other.
Yeah,
One of them showing his bum.
it's a Doug trio.
It's terrible. The standees were cute. I think the cardboard stock is not of USAopoly's best quality.
This is thick
Eh,
with 2
It's
C's.
decent.
can't even take you people anywhere. So I was really impressed with that. I think that the card and the cardboard quality is better in some of their other games, but I think that they put so much effort into the other pieces that
The
it didn't
card
bother
quality
me.
is a lot better than standard Risk. Because those come with like the paper cards and.
And that's fine. I think though. Okay, and that's fine. And I think if you're just getting into the hobby board game industry, then that makes sense. But I'm used to playing other USAopoly games. I think that their standard of quality is just so nice that that's kind of what I've come to expect from them. That's what happens when you do things really
spoiled.
well. Yeah, or if you're a company that constantly puts out things really well, like I have higher expectations.
I feel USAopoly puts a much higher quality in their more Hobbyland games.
Probably.
And their mainstream games are a little. And this, I'm actually really surprised by how much quality is in this mainstream
Well,
game.
and maybe like with the little minis, maybe that's where it comes from. Is that because these, the unique little minis is more of a hobby than a mainstream. I mean, I know you have horses and stuff, but
I really did love the fact that the minis here were unique to each of the different factions. I thought that added a really
Definitely.
awesome touch to the game, and I'm going to ask you here, Josh, I'm assuming that helped you with any sort of colorblind issues that you might have with a
Yeah.
normal version of Risk.
Yeah, helped with any colorblind issues, and the colors they used are very,
Colorblind friendly.
very colorblind friendly. The only one that might have been is the
Hot pink.
no, not the hot pink. The first bag you grabbed, they were like a yellow. The desert guys,
Yes.
with the army guys, but they're still pretty
Yeah,
distinct.
those were like a light yellow color, so those could have been kind of similar to that. But I really did love the fact that these are all very unique. I am a big sucker for unique player powers as well, so I like that the different factions had leaders. I like the introduction of the leader mechanism.
yeah.
I thought it was just a nice way to kind of bring the game a little bit more of a deviation from standard Risk. I wish we would have done a little bit more with the Rick ship battery. I think that possibly that suffers a little bit from being very limited in its access. But at the same time, I think that was a really cool thing that it's a 7th territory that roams the map that you have the opportunity to go after that way. So I thought that was really cool.
The cool thing is once you controlled it, you get to move it wherever you want it, so you can kind of
Yeah, you can
infiltrate areas that typically are pretty well guarded.
Right.
Pat made the point of bringing up the people that hide out in Australia.
Yep.
Like you.
You mean?
You were in Australia.
Wait a minute. Whose troops are in Australia, Ann?
You mean the Purge Planet? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Purge
Considering that the camera makes things backwards, then Josh is in Australia.
Yeah. But no, he made a good point of a big typical strategy of standard Risk is you fortify the exterior of your troops while the interior is very weak, so that way people have to crash through your sword wall, your spear wall in order to get to you. But if you control Rick's ship, you can airdrop right in the middle and then cause chaos from within.
Yeah.
And same with
Which
the
is-
portals, which
which
was
is
really
neat.
cool.
Yeah, the portals is a cool mechanism too. So the green things you see on the map, essentially each of those is a portal, and all of those portals is considered adjacent to each other. So unfortunately in this game we got 3 portals in the same area, 2 of which were adjacent to each other, so it kind of detracted from it a little bit.
And just like a little behind the scenes, that was my second pull. Because the
Oh,
first
yeah.
time I was like, oh, maybe I didn't shuffle the cards as well as I thought I did. And then I pulled it again, and I was like, well, this is just our life now.
And then finally, yeah, I really like the individual objectives, but I love the fact that there was rewards there as well, and that they were continuous use on your turn. They weren't just like a one-time card that you can play. They were a permanent buff, and so like they weren't super strong, but at the same time they were very handy. So there's ones like you can re-roll 1/1 per an attack roll. So that's pretty huge, actually.
And we really looked at, there's 2 levels of objectives. There's the Morty level, which are the not as strong levels, and then there's also the Rick levels, which were the stronger
Harder to acquire.
objectives.
Yeah.
So we only really got to look at the Morty ones, but like, where Morty was gain 1 unit,
This
Rick
is
was
gain 3 extra units, but
and then discard. So at the and then this guaranteed territory card, once per turn relocate any portal. So they were definitely the more difficult objectives to complete.
Oh, and so one of our viewers is asking, can't the portals be moved if you control the territory? Technically, yes. You have to discard one of the territories from your hand, and it can move there. You can move the portal there.
Right.
But at the same time, we were going more for objectives, so that was probably the way we were playing. Didn't move them around as much. And then Josh also cashed in his locations in order to get the Schmeckel value to get more units.
Yeah.
So Josh is going after the Schmeckles, as usual. But, so yeah, I mean, I think that was just the way that we were playing. Any other things that you guys wanted to talk about before we got into constructive criticisms?
You guys hit a lot of the points. Unique player powers. I really like some of the interesting strategic methods on here, and I think some of the things that we didn't get to see much with the portal movements and the Rick ship will really shine more in a bigger player game.
That's what Matt was saying when we were in between segments.
Absolutely, I agree wholeheartedly. So, constructive criticisms. This is based off of our first impression, our first playthrough of the game. Any aspects that jumped out at us and we thought maybe we would like to change, given our personal opinion. Off the top of my head, one thing that I think I would have liked a little bit better, and this is very minor, is changing the reward so that you draw one randomly instead of going through the deck and picking one. I think that would add a little bit more interest because it would force you to change your strategy a little bit to adapt to the card, because they're all beneficial and you can use them all beneficially. It's not like one's going to hinder you in any way, shape, or form. I just thought that would have been better, rather than if someone gets out to a hot start, they can give them something that's going to boost themselves a little too quickly, maybe. But again, a very minor gripe if you can consider that one. Also, I think the fact that Rick's ship moves every round makes it so that it's very hard to attack that territory. But as Josh was saying, I think in a larger player count game where there's more chaos going on, you have more opportunities to attack the ship versus planning solely on defending your territory.
The other thing you could look at doing is when you're laying your guys down, is taking control of the 6 locations your ship goes to.
That's very true as well.
Because I don't think anyone paid attention to that when we were laying ships. We were just trying to take regions.
Yeah, I was trying to take bonuses for...
I was trying to take borders first and then the rest of the region was my strategy, so it wasn't something I was trying to hit.
I have one gripe, but I think this is a risk gripe in general. And it's, again, I think it's kind of minor. As I'm playing the game, I obviously did a very poor job of initially laying out my troops. But I really don't like the fact that, like, in this particular board, the crazy outskirts and the Unities planet are kind of like those Australia places where you can only go into it from 2 or 3 locations, but all the other planets have at least 4 where you can attack from. So, like, Josh camped out in Unities planet and just sat there, and I kind of wish, like, I liked how I could jump from one half of the board to the other down between the Fringe region and the Purge planet that kind of wrap around the world on a map. And I wish there was more of that.
Like linking this here to that there.
Yep, and that, or even Earth. Well, that's connected there. But yeah, I would have wanted to connect these two, or even if you connected them the board diagonally.
Where I can't see.
Sneaky move, sis.
But I think in standard risk, these two are connected. The top 2 ones, and then the bottom ones, which would be Australia and South America, aren't connected.
Yeah, that's Australia. I mean, I know I
Yeah.
was being funny.
That's Australia.
But that's really where
yeah.
Josh camped out is really it's the same move he does in every game.
Yeah, exactly.
The place with the least amount of borders.
But you still lost. So, yeah, I don't really have many other gripes about the game. Josh, how about you?
Minor gripe. I wish the reward cards and the gold cards were slightly different. They're they blend in together because they're the exact same.
Oh, also your red-green color blend.
Are they different colors?
Yeah. So this is green, this
Oh.
is red.
I was just looking at the picture and
Yeah, the pictures
besides the text is different. Like I didn't see a difference.
Yeah,
Can
the
you tell the
picture's the
difference
same, but-
between them? Between the colors?
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
There's your colorblind
No.
problem.
There
right
it is.
I mean, I could read the card and they say it, but like the back of the cards are almost identical as well.
Yeah, red, green. But yeah, they should use a different picture. I agree.
Yeah.
Good point.
Like they could have had a picture of like a Happy Morty. I don't know if there's an actual picture of a Happy Morty out there, but
I think that's the first time in a game where you've actually run across components where you cannot tell the difference between them.
Yeah, usually are like.
I mean, it has words on there, so I can tell the
no,
difference.
I mean
but
Yeah.
usually you can say. Usually you say like, oh, the color's slightly different. I
Like
can tell it's
between
a
the
little different.
characters.
Yeah.
With the orange and the olive.
yeah, no, but no, those are completely identical to me. I can't tell the difference at all.
You're weird.
That's why we like you.
I think that's my only. I would have wished there was some Ziploc bags that came with the game. That is my. I own board games, and I wish there was Ziploc bags because you gave me sealed packages that I'm gonna rip open, and these things are not gonna go back in there.
Yeah.
But that's a minor gripe of my.
Maybe just maybe that goes to like inconsistent component quality.
All right, so I think it's time for most important question of the evening of would you play this game again, Josh?
I enjoy this more than normal Risk for sure. I'm not a big Risk guy. I'm not a big area control kind of gamer, so it's not my thing. But if someone wanted to play Risk, this is what I would lean towards than normal Risk.
Mm-hmm. Anne?
I would play this again. I do like the area control games, and unfortunately, with the format of our show, we don't get to play a lot of like the bigger games, and I enjoy this actually with the strategy and the moving around, even whether I'm good at it or not. So I would definitely play this again. And I don't, even though that Rick and Morty can sometimes be an adult show, kind of wrapped around a cartoon. I don't think there's anything in here that is inappropriate enough that I wouldn't bring it out with the kids and play with the kids, which I thought was really nice.
For me, I'm going to have to kind of echo Josh. I really don't like Risk. I like this a lot more than regular Risk for sure. If someone really wanted to play this at a game night, I would be okay with it. It wouldn't be my first choice to take it out, not because of the theming or anything, just I don't like the backbone of Risk. So that's personal preference there. All right. So I think that's it then. Any other things you guys want to talk about?
That's it.
How are you doing today, Matthew?
I'm doing swell. Thank you for asking.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. If you guys are watching this video on YouTube, where we will have it up later, make sure you bing, bang, boom, hit that subscribe button.
Actually, I think if you at the end of the video, just click like right up there, and you can subscribe, and then there's going to be another cool video right there. If I have it right, I might be backwards here.
I really hope you did that right so much. I really, really hope, because that would be so cool.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you all for joining us today. Big shout out to USAopoly with Risk and Morty, yes, Rick and Morty Risk, for sponsoring this stream and all of this week's streams. And again, big shout out to Pat for joining us. If you guys are not watching us live, make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and come chat with us on our Discord channel where...
Sometimes we have conversations about television shows. I used to really like Adult Swim like 20 years ago when the Aqua
This is
Teen
too long.
Hunger Force
Okay,
was there.
so with that, we're going to be signing off for now. Make sure you join us for all of our future streams. But I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
I'm Josh.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.